So in this crazy time where people are losing their jobs, businesses are going under, people are terrified because of the news media, everyone's at home, social distancing, in lockdown, what do? Well, I've got two books that I'm going to share with you that, whether we're locked down or not, are two books that everyone should read. Now, the best part about what's happening now is people have more time. And this is where we can develop ourselves. We can kind of go into the cave and then reemerge a better version of ourselves. And there's going to be two types of people in this. Some are just going to buy into the fear and they're just going to run away and look for escapism, things like Netflix. And others are going to develop themselves and emerge out of this a better version of themselves. So there's these two books, and they're both by Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill, what he did with this first book was he interviewed about 500 of the wealthiest people at the time, like the Andrew Carnegies and the Henry Fords. And he tried to find out, what are the commonalities of their success? What do they all do that's similar that allow them to succeed? The principles of success. And this book was called Think and Grow Rich. And a lot of people know about this book, over 20 million copies sold. And this is something where if you read this book and you install these principles, these habits and behaviors into your life, you're going to start to get predictable results, because the universe that we live in has very predictable laws that are governing our behavior and governing how everything works. But this second book is very little known. Very few people know about this and have read it. And it's actually because this book was written in the 30s, but Napoleon Hill didn't release it because he was getting death threats. They were saying, don't release this, it's too controversial. So it didn't release until about 2011. Now, this book is called Outwitting the Devil. And this book is so powerful because in this one, instead of interviewing the wealthiest people, he went out and studied and interviewed a lot of poor and middle class people to find out what were the commonalities keeping them down. So in this book, he creates this narrative between like a person who's living here on earth and the devil, and he interviews the devil and asks, what is it that you do to control people's minds? And basically the devil says, listen, I am not this red pitchfork having devil, this being. I am only existing in the mind, in the forms of self-doubt and limiting beliefs. And he goes through all the things that hold people back from succeeding. So I look at these two books and I take Think and Grow Rich and I say, wow, these are the principles that some of the wealthiest people in the world use to gain success. And then I look over here and I say, wow, these are the principles that keep people from succeeding. And I ask myself, how can I install these principles into my life, and how can I not have these principles in my life? And then in between that is this gap that will separate you from your weak self and your strong self. And you want to fill it with this knowledge and actually apply this information. So I want you to look at this lockdown right now as a time to go into that cave, study this knowledge and wisdom, start to install these habits and behaviors into your life, and emerge out of this a better version of yourself with proven principles to help you get there. So go get those books and start to study this stuff. It's going to change your life.